Kenny, I am your host, Dreadwing. Dive into the world of magic and explore the most stories full of wonder, fantastical delights. The lights!
Chapter 34 The Lions Part 3 Megatron barged into the meeting room, noting Hanji and Historia with rather nervous expressions on their faces. Optimus still had that same stoic demeanor, but Levi looked visibly concerned. "What in the Allspark am I hearing about that human breaking out of prison?" Megatron demanded. "Kenny the Ripper broke out of prison," Hanji declared. "I don't know how, but he did. Whatever item he used, he must have taken it with him. The guards are undergoing interrogations right now," Historia added. "So why hasn't anyone gone after him?" Megatron demanded. Optimus placed a box on the table and opened it. Megatron was quite stunned to see the syringe and the Energon vial along with it. "Why is this here?" Megatron demanded. "Kenny must have procured it from Rod Rice when he intended to take the powers of the founding Titan," Optimus explained. "However, I do not understand why he would be willing to give up an item such as this." "It's a trade," Levi spoke, earning all eyes on him. "An exchange. He's given us one of the most powerful weapons in this world, in exchange for his freedom." "Freedom, my ass!" Hanji shot up from her seat. "We need to go find him now." "If Kenny wants to disappear, he can," Levi declared. "We have no lead. No one will be able to track him down. Besides the fact that he killed over 100 people, he also sided with Rod, who was going to let us get devoured by Titans or blown up by Marley." Hanji shot back. "He deserves whatever he gets, but unless we have something to track the bastard down, there's nothing we can do," Levi retorted. Megatron picked up the Energon vial from its container and examined it with a close eye. "We need to use this." Everyone stared at the Titan in shock. "You were willing to kill me for injecting myself with it," Historia reminded. "And I still would have," Megatron declared as he set the vial down, "but circumstances have changed. Marley intends to use the vial to create more powerful Titans. They started the experimentation today." Everyone stared in surprise at the ex-con. "Do you know the results of the experiments?" Hanji asked. "Not in full detail," Megatron declared, "but according to the Beast Titan, the creature is still alive and has a faster regeneration time." "And you believe him?" Levi questioned. The fear on his face said it all, Megatron declared. "This is bad," Hanji hissed. "I hate giving you the satisfaction, Buckethead, but you were right. We should have killed Annie when we had the chance." "Do you know when they will continue to proceed with experiments?" Optimus asked. "No," Megatron answered. "Apparently today was a failure, so they will discontinue it for the time being. But I have no doubt they will continue with it once more. If they perfect the formula, they could easily use it on the Titan shifters they have, and they would become more powerful." "We have to use the vial immediately," Hanji declared as she grabbed it and examined it. "You can't use it on a normal human," Megatron declared as he took the vial from her hands and set it back down. "The Beast Titan wasn't able to control the mutated Titan that is still alive. You waste this on a normal human, there will be unnecessary deaths on your land. We may have to use it on Iran." Levi spoke up again. Hanji and Optimus turned their attention to Levi as dead silence filled the room. Megatron saw the tension and sighed to himself, not wanting to actually deal with this. "I'm deactivating my holoform for the night," Megatron declared before the form disappeared. "Levi, we are not using this on Iran," Optimus declared. "Doesn't seem like we actually have the time to debate over this," Levi reminded. "You heard what Buckethead said." "We still do not know the side effects of the serum," Optimus retorted. "I have to agree with Levi," Hanji said. "Hanji?" Optimus exclaimed. "We are in a tight spot." Hanji declared. Annie was able to cut off a piece of Megatron. "Imagine the damage these guys would be able to do once they perfect the damn thing. The Energon within that vial could possibly damage Iran," Optimus proclaimed. "It could kill him. I cannot put him at risk." "You're being extremely subjective right now," Hanji declared. "You have to consider the fact that if we don't do this, everyone on Paradis might die sooner." "What if it doesn't work?" Optimus demanded. "What if Iran dies from the injection?" The power of the attack titan and the founding titan will be transferred to an Eldian baby at random. Both powers would be more likely to be transferred to the Eldians on the continent than on the island due to population size. Both could fall into Mali's hands, and the country would come after us. That's a risk we have to take, Hanji declared. Too many of our people died just so we can hesitate now. Is no one even going to think about asking Iran about this? Historia asked, earning all eyes on her. You don't think Iran would agree? Levi asked her. I don't, Historia answered. At the very least he would be hesitant at the idea, because we don't know the full extent of what the serum will do. Iran is impulsive, but if his commander and mentor don't know what this will do, I'm pretty sure Iran would have some reservations. Your Majesty, we're running low on time, Hanji reminded. Isn't there a way that we can wait and hear results from Megatron about the serum? Historia asked. They stopped experiments for the time being. But they still could be studying the Titan they have and still have a lead on us, Hanji reminded. Then let's just ask Iran, Historia suggested. If he says no, then no can force him to do anything. Not until we can get confirmation that it's safe for him to be injected. I agree with Queen Historia, Optimus stated. Levi thought it over. It'd be stupid to put more shit on that kid without him having an option of his own. Hanji sighed in defeat. Fine. We'll ask Iran. I just don't want to seem like the bad guy here because of our situation. I understand your concern, Hanji, but we also need to be cautious on how we proceed, Optimus retorted. Perhaps we should end the meeting for right now. Agreed, Hanji said. We'll talk to Iran in the morning. The next day, Mali headquarters. Colt grunted as Matthew kicked him to the floor. He hissed in pain from the kick to his side, before jolting as the man stepped on his chest to pin him down. Colt tried to get the foot off of him, but Matthew was too strong. Colt gasped when Matthew aimed the rifle for his head. You lose, Matthew said, and you would have died right here. Matthew turned his attention to the three children. Explain why Colt lost this match. Gabi raised her hand. Colt didn't react fast enough to dodge your attack. Correct, Matthew said. No matter how much pain you're in, you need to work through it in order to actually survive a fight. You can't buckle under pressure because of a wound. What else? Colt's not as strong as you, Sophia shrugged. Matthew laughed. An excellent point. You will come across different people with different skills that they can use to defeat you. Be it strength, agility, speed, you must be able to counteract against those attacks, instead of favoring what you're good at all the time. Also, the enemy might not hesitate to kill you, Falco added. An unfortunate reality, Matthew agreed. War is terrible, and everyone just wants to survive. They'll do anything to live, even if it means sacrificing what they value. Matthew removed his foot from Colt's chest before helping the boy up. You can't hesitate. Yes, sir, Colt nodded. Take a 5-minute break, Matthew told them. Megatron watched Colt limp over to the three before walking over to a bench where a silver canteen was with a note on it. He picked it up and read the note and sighed to himself. Apparently, Zeke needed him to pretend to drink in front of the humans here, in order to avoid questioning his dietary habits. The canteen was grey, so no one would see the water. Megatron shoved the note in his pocket and opened the canteen before placing it against his lips. He mimicked swallowing before removing the canteen from his lips and screwing it shut. By the Allspark, this was stupid. Matthew Hayes. Someone shouted. Megatron turned to see a teen with red slicked back hair. What do you want? Megatron demanded. My name is Porco Galliard, and I want to become one of your students. He yelled. Megatron deadpanned. No. Why? Porco stuttered. I already have those idiots to teach, Megatron answered as he pointed to the four. How cruel of you, Matthew, Sophia sighed. Hey! Gabi shouted. But I'm one of the warrior candidates, Porco reasoned. I need this more than anything else. Okay, Megatron shrugged. And did you even ask your superiors? Porco got nervous, causing Megatron to walk up to the teen. Peak told me you wanted to train with me, but your commanders kept on saying no, Megatron informed. I'm already in a bad position. I train you, both of us will end up in trouble, even though you are warrior candidate. But Sir Ash. Besides, you wouldn't even be able to catch up, Megatron declared as he turned to go to the four. Hey. I've completed my training for the warrior program. Porco retorted. I can complete your training. I dash. Porco yelped when Megatron tripped the boy and caused him to fall on his back. Your arrogance will cause your death, Megatron told him. No matter how much training, or skill, or power you have, you'll end up 6 feet under like all the others. My answer still stands. No. Porco forced himself to sit up as Megatron walked over to the fore. Porco noticed the guilty look on Colt's face before turning his attention to him once more. Porco cursed to himself before getting up and walking back inside. Damn it. Aaron entered the meeting room, seeing Hanji and Optimus sitting down and waiting for him. What's going on? Aaron asked the two. We found this, Hanji began as she grabbed the box and slid it over to Aaron. Aaron opened it and froze to see the Energon vial and the syringe. He felt uncomfortable, shaken even. The only thing that he could think about was that night with his father. The day that he devoured him. Megatron informed us that Marley is proceeding with Energon experimentation, Optimus explained. He also informed us that they have a pure Titan that they are monitoring as we speak. But Megatron is saying that the pure Titan is erratic, Hanji added, unstable and possibly hard to kill. We were thinking about testing its contents on you. Optimus could see the fear in Aaron's eyes. You are not obligated to do so if you do not want to. We can wait to hear from Megatron any further results from Marley's experimentation. But it has also been a month, and Annie Leonhardt is reportedly still alive, Hanji reminded. At the very least, we know that the Energon serum won't kill you. What about side effects? Aaron asked Hanji. I can't say for certain without investigation and research, Hanji relented. All I know are the short-term benefits. We can try analyzing it on the neutral ship, but a lot of the equipment isn't working, and any exposure to air leads to immediate evaporation. Our only viable option for further experimentation would be to inject this into you and see the results. Again, we can wait until the results in Marley are adequate enough. I'll do it, Aaron declared, much to the surprise of both Optimus and Hanji. Aaron, you are not forced into taking the serum, Optimus reminded. Marley isn't going to care about how I feel, Aaron proclaimed. They're going to experiment on the other Titan shifters, and try to make them stronger. We already know what Annie did to Megatron. I need to get stronger in order to protect our home. If this is the way to do it, then I'll do it. Optimus was still hesitant at the idea, while Hanji stood up from her seat. I'll inform the 104th, and Armin and Mikasa, Hanji said. It's better to keep them in the loop, so they aren't worried if something goes wrong. Optimus and I will start setting everything up, which should take us a good portion of the day. Aaron saluted Hanji in response as the commander left the room. Optimus stood up and placed a hand on Aaron's shoulder. Make sure to get some rest before the experiment, Optimus advised. I will, Aaron promised as Optimus deactivated the holoform. Please train me, Porco pleaded as he followed Megatron down the hall. Megatron groaned and covered his ears in response. This child was too persistent. He's been hounding him for the past few days about training him. He even had to lock the damn kid in a closet and left him there until Peak found him. Now he was back at it again, following him around the compound like a Primus. Forsaken. Drone. Megatron grabbed Porco and slammed him against the wall. Shut the hell up. But no. Megatron ordered as he covered his mouth. I don't want another word out of you, or I'm throwing you out the window. Porco kept trying to speak with his muffled mouth, causing Megatron to sigh in irritation. He let go of his mouth and removed him from the wall. Fine. I'll listen to your reasoning. Why do you want me to train you so badly? Megatron demanded. You finished Marley training, and your commander won't let you. You could be sent to Paradis or the front lines if you keep this up. I know, Porco hissed. So why? Megatron demanded. The Flying Titan, Porco answered. I need to kill the Flying Titan. Megatron's interest was now piqued. He wanted to be trained because he wanted to go after him. The Flying Titan defeated all of your friends in combat, Megatron reminded. What makes you any different? Nothing, Porco answered, but I need to kill the Flying Titan because he took my brother. Megatron raised an eyebrow at that. Your brother? My brother. Marcel, Porco clarified. He was the holder of the Jaws Titan. He got kidnapped and taken away by the Flying Titan. Everyone is speculating that he's dead, and maybe he is. Which is why I can't let the Flying Titan go. I'll get the Jaws Titan back for Marley, and I will do everything in my power to avenge my brother by killing that demon. Megatron had to be careful with his words. One slip-up could lead to him exposing himself in that moment. He had so many questions, but he had to save them for another time. Megatron decided to pretend to be sympathetic and placed a hand on Porco's shoulder. "I get it," Megatron began, "you lost someone you cared about, and you want to give them justice. But I have no military authority to train you. I can only do so much. I'll try to talk to Commander Calvi, he seems to be the only one who likes me, and maybe he can let this happen." Porco gave a small smile. "Thanks. Even if he says no, thanks for trying at the very least." Porco walked away from Megatron. Once the team turned the hallway, Megatron turned his pace to Zeke's office. He had to clarify something now. Meanwhile, "Iran, listen." Hanji shouted from Optimus's shoulder at a safe distance in wall rows, "You can still back down from this." "I'm going to do this." Iran responded before looking down at the syringe, "I have to." "What do you recommend we do if this doesn't work?" Optimus demanded. "I can't say for sure," Hanji admitted. "I will take full responsibility." "I can do this," Iran whispered to himself as he placed the syringe in his arm. "I can do this." Iran injected the serum into his body, and he couldn't control himself. He screamed before transforming into his Titan form. Optimus shielded Hanji from the smoke and the dust as he looked on in fear. He saw the Titan form coming into existence. He could see the energon spreading through Iran's veins. He could see Iran's eyes turning a bright blue. Iran continued screaming and roaring from the pain and energy coursing through him. He thought it would be over, but suddenly a surge of memories played through his mind. They were all fractured. He couldn't tell what was going on. These memories never happened. Mikasa, Armin, the Survey Corps, they all looked older. He saw faces he'd never seen before. A boy falling off a ledge while a girl screamed for him. Optimus looking at him with such a heartbroken expression that he couldn't handle it. A man that looked like his father talking to him personally. Loud footsteps he couldn't decipher where it was from. Megatron looking at him with hatred, but also something else he couldn't determine. And there were two other Titans he's never met before. Who were they? What did they want? Iran practically shut down and collapsed. As he fell to the ground, he heard Optimus running to him, screaming his name. But he wasn't sure if it was a memory or reality. He hit the ground and passed out. Zeke was smoking a cigarette and reading the newspaper when the door to his office opened. He looked up to see Matthew closing the door behind him and leaning against it. "Put that thing out, I need your help," Matthew ordered. "This is my office," Zeke retorted as he continued smoking. Zeke jolted when Matthew snatched the cigarette out of his mouth and put it out on the ashtray. "You owe me," Zeke declared as he put down the newspaper. "Give me the report on the Paradis Island operation," Matthew ordered. Zeke raised an eyebrow at that. "Why? You caused half of the issues there." "Who's Marcel?" Matthew demanded. Zeke grew confused. "The Jaws Titan. The warrior cadet chosen along with Annie, Rainer, and Berthold. How do you now know him?" "You took him." "I didn't take him," Matthew proclaimed. "Report, now." Zeke opened the drawer and pulled out the file on the Paradis operation, before handing it to Matthew. The Titan snatched it from his hands before he began skimming through it. When he reached a certain page, he began to intently read it. Before Zeke knew it, Matthew began darkly chuckling. He threw the paper down on the desk and began laughing. "What's so funny?" Zeke demanded. "They lied," Matthew declared with a sinister smile. "Those three lied about this Marcel." "What are you talking about?" Zeke demanded as he stood up. "The best lie is always told with some truth to it," Matthew declared. "That's usually how deceptions works. The Armored Titan was right to say that I did take the Jaws Titan, however, it wasn't Marcel. It was a woman named Emma, who just happened to be at the right place and time." "What?" Zeke breathlessly questioned. "Why would they lie about this?" "To save their neck, that's why," Matthew declared. "The woman has been a Titan shifter since the three arrived at the wall over 5 years ago. They had to explain the loss of an asset to the Mali Empire. So to alleviate them of the loss of the warrior cadets for a peasant girl, they pin the blame on me for kidnapping their friend and feeding them to someone else. They do their best to fabricate the story so it doesn't raise any suspicion." Matthew chuckled once more. "But they missed the part where I would find out." Zeke felt a sense of dread go through him and walked over to Matthew. "Please keep this to yourself. You think I'm going to let this opportunity pass by?" Matthew demanded. You really must think highly of me, but it's because you don't know who I am. You've seen how Eldians are treated in Mali, Zeke explained. You have to understand the position they were in. If Mali found out that they lied, they'll be stripped of their status, and their families will be turned into titans. That's not my issue, Matthew declared. Besides, it makes things easier for me by eliminating the titan shifters who might have an idea of who I am. But their kids, Zeke reasoned, who willingly signed up for war, Matthew hissed. They chose this path on a false notion that Mali would give them freedom. They should have been wise enough to know that the country was lying to them. Don't forget, Jija. This is war. You do what you must to survive and win. And if it means breaking murderers who wiped out a third of a population within a single night, then I will do it. Zeke watched Matthew make his way to the door. Matthew, please. They need to know the weight of their actions, Matthew declared. Zeke watched as Matthew walked out the door. There would be no mercy for those three now. Aaron groaned as he slowly opened his eyes. He noticed that he was under a wooden ceiling and that it was still daytime. He winced when he heard someone arguing, and he forced himself to sit up and rub his head. I didn't know the effects, Hanji explained. No one did. We should have waited to find the proper tools to analyze the serum, Optimus declared. Aaron could have been killed. He's not dead, Hanji exclaimed, and he agreed to it. It's loud, Aaron groaned. Both of them turned to Aaron, and Optimus immediately rushed to Aaron's side, placing his hand on his shoulder. Aaron, are you all right? Optimus asked with concern. I'm fine, Aaron answered. I'm just lightheaded. I hope this isn't an effect of the Energon, Optimus said before placing his hand on his forehead. Do you feel sick in any way? Like your body temperature increased? Aaron shook his head. Just lightheaded. Well, that's a good sign, Hanji sighed with relief, earning a look from Optimus. Okay, you can't pin all of this on me. Mikasa and Armin opened the door to the medical ward, taking notice that Aaron was awake before rushing over to his side. Aaron, how do you feel? Mikasa asked. I'm fine, Aaron answered, just lightheaded. You shouldn't have done this, Mikasa hissed at Hanji. How many times do I have to say that we're in a time crunch? And Aaron agreed. Hanji demanded. Not enough, Mikasa answered. Look, as far as we know, Aaron is fine, Hanji declared as she pulled 2 vials out of her pocket. I took some samples. This one is Aaron's blood. It's perfectly fine. This one is Aaron's spinal fluid traced with Energon. The Energon is, as far as we know, concentrated there and won't spread. You can't say that for certain, Armin retorted. I know, Hanji declared as she put the vials back in her pockets, but Megatron told us Annie had Energon in her system for 4 months. Aaron should be fine for the time being. We'll find a way to get more information on this through Megatron. Armin sighed. We should have listened to Megatron. I should have waited for the basement instead of hoping we could find a way to contain Annie. We wouldn't be here worrying about this if it weren't for me. Armin, it is not your fault, Optimus reassured. You were trying to think of a better solution to the situation at the time. It still doesn't feel right, Armin admitted. Hanji sighed to herself. Once Aaron is better, we do have to run experiments to make sure that he's all right. When you're ready, Aaron, just tell us. Aaron nodded his head. Hanji then beckoned Mikasa and Armin out of the room, telling them he needed rest. Once they were out of the room, Optimus stood up. He was ready to deactivate the holoform, but Aaron grabbed his arm. Aaron dash. I didn't mean to make you worry, Aaron declared. I just didn't want you to have to worry about me anymore. I already have a target on my back as it is. Optimus looked at Aaron before grabbing a chair and sitting on the side of his bed. I understand your concern, but this is not what I wanted either. I know you want to be able to defend yourself, but I didn't want to end up killing you by mistake. Aaron shrugged. I'm fine now. Aaron, how do you really feel? Optimus asked. Aaron noticed that he was asking about himself personally. I'm doing better. I just don't want to be a burden to you or anyone else. You are not a burden, Optimus declared. Mali is advancing in Titan weaponry, and they're after me, Aaron reminded. If I didn't do this, I would have been an easier target to take and kill. Optimus nodded his head in understanding. I just did not want you to have this burden. This curse. Aaron noticed the sadness in Optimus's eyes and put on a smile. I'll be okay. I have my comrades. I have my family. We'll make sure to save Paradis before my time is up. Optimus gave a small smile before placing his hand on Iran's shoulder. Get some rest. The nurses are here if you need anything. Iran smiled as Optimus removed his hand from his shoulder. He remembered the surge of memories he received when he injected himself as Optimus stood up. He was about to speak up about them, but his head throbbed in pain just after Optimus deactivated the holoform. He tried to speak up again as he clutched his head. His heart stopped when he saw a clear image play through his mind. The dust had cleared. Iran felt he was in his Titan form. He looked down at his feet in horror when he saw Optimus's lifeless corpse. His optics were open, but the blue in them was long gone, replaced by a blank gray. His battle mask was shattered and his mouth leaking energon. There was a long crystal dagger that went straight through his side, creating a pool of energon on the ground. His makeshift blade was broken while his blaster had been crushed. Iran gasped and rubbed his eyes in shock and disbelief. He felt something under his eyes and wiped it off to see that he was crying bright blue tears. What the hell was that? What the fuck was that? Marley headquarters. Calvi was talking with Magarth when the door opened to reveal Matthew. I need to talk to you about Porco, he declared. How dare you come in here acting like you own the place? Magarth demanded in anger. If this is regarding you training him, I already told him no. Calvi declared as he looked over some papers. Couldn't you have threatened him then with turning him into a mindless Titan? Matthew demanded, because he's been hounding me for the past few days begging me to train him. I had to lock him in the closet. Oh, so that was you? Calvi asked in surprise. Yes it was, and now I promised the boy to try to convince you just to get him off my back, Matthew groaned. That's what you get for treating Eldians with decency, Magarth declared. They start acting like they own the place. If it's any consolation, I hate all of you, Matthew proclaimed. You better watch what you say next, Magarth hissed. Fine, Matthew began. I think you're a lousy, incompetent mother dash. Stop, Calvi ordered before turning to Matthew. You know he's meant to be in the war, right? He's not technically a Titan shifter yet, Matthew recalled. I think he's relying on that to try to train with me. Calvi thought it over. He's still needed on the front lines. There, he can work on leadership skills and strategic thinking, which should help him in the future when he becomes a Titan shifter. Those two metal Titans have most likely been at war and have more experience than Porco. They'll annihilate him if he doesn't have actual experience. Personally, I think he needs all the help he can get, Matthew admitted. He wants to kill the flying Titan. And with his stupidity and inexperience in fighting and strategic thinking, he's going to end up in worse shape than the three who came back. You do bring up a good point, Calvi proclaimed. Give me time to think about it, and I'll make up my decision in 2 days. Matthew nodded before exiting the room, causing Magarth to turn to Calvi. Why are you listening to him, to his reasoning? Magarth demanded. He's not even a Marley citizen. We forced him against his will to train our soldiers, Calvi reminded. Because he helped Eldians, Magarth shot back. He helped devils. He's someone who's abandoned our social norms because he believes they don't matter in the grand scheme of things, Calvi proclaimed. All he wants is his freedom back. And besides, you were the one that gave him the ultimatum. I shouldn't have done that, Magarth hissed to himself. But you may have benefited us by doing so, Calvi declared. Let's see how well our warriors improve. Megatron grumbled to himself as he made his way down the hall. Things were progressing differently than he anticipated. He needs to tell Zeke to create a cover story. He was going to have to meet with Erwin earlier than anticipated. Later that night, Erwin sat in his reading chair while Kenny was sitting down on the couch. The two of them were staring at each other, feeling rather awkward about their current predicament, but not really wanting to back down. Erwin grew tense, however, when he heard someone knock on the door. I think it's for you, Kenny quipped. Erwin ignored Kenny and stood up. He walked over to the door and opened it, but quickly had to back away as Megatron practically barged inside. I wasn't expecting you here, Erwin remarked, trying to remain calm. There's been a few developments, so I need to confirm that you got the assistance you require, Megatron said. I did, but Erwin paused when he saw Megatron staring directly at Kenny. The Titan's surprise quickly morphed into murderous intent. Kenny merely responded by waving to Megatron. Hey, tin can. Erwin stumbled back as Megatron tackled Kenny to the floor, breaking a table in the process. Megatron wrapped both arms around Kenny's neck before pinning his foot to the floor with his own. You have 5 seconds to explain yourself before I snap your neck, Megatron warned ominously. Can't do that with you cursing my windpipe, Kenny strained. Megatron, let him go. Erwin ordered. I can't do that with the information that he knows, Megatron proclaimed as he tightened his grip. How did you escape prison? Tell him. Kenny croaked. I broke him out. Erwin shouted. Megatron turned his attention to Erwin. You what? You said to get help. Erwin reminded. I meant from a good connection, Megatron retorted, like that trainer or pixie. Not someone known for slitting throats for the fun of it. Well, you didn't exactly specify. Erwin hissed. You know he can and will kill you, Megatron declared. Says the one who threatened to kill me and wipe out humanity because I wasn't honest with Optimus. Erwin reminded. Bit ironic since you're known for deception, Kenny strained. You don't get a say in this, Megatron threatened as he tightened his grip, causing Kenny to choke in pain. Megatron, we need to be ready before they come, and you said that we can't tell anyone in the military. Including people I've worked with for years, Erwin declared. You wanted help, he's your help. He's someone who's evaded and worked in the military. He is our best bet to gather information from Zeke's team. Megatron glared at Erwin as Kenny continued struggling for air. There was a long silence before Megatron let go of Kenny. Kenny gasped for air and coughed up spit as Megatron stood up. If we get caught because of him, I will break more than just your other arm, Megatron declared. Fine, Erwin accepted. And as for you, Megatron began as he turned back to Kenny, one mistake from you, and I can assure you, your body will not be found. You're gonna leave a blood trail, you know, Kenny reminded as he rubbed his neck. That's not what I meant, Megatron proclaimed. Kenny processed the information and glared at Megatron. You fucking psycho. Stop, Erwin warned before turning to Megatron. What do we do now? Both of you are to remain under the radar until the monkeys team comes to the island, Megatron answered, and with that idiot out, they might expel resources looking for the both of you. Eat shit and die, Kenny hissed. Shut up, Megatron ordered before turning back to Erwin. Stay here and plan. Do not lead a single human on. I'll be back within 5 months to feed you in. Do both of you understand? Yes, Erwin answered while Kenny begrudgingly grumbled in agreement. Megatron deactivated the holoform as Kenny slumped to the ground. I fucking hate that bastard, Kenny groaned. Porco found Megatron outside in the yard, the Titan keeping a trained eye on the warrior cadets training. Megatron glanced back at him, but turned his gaze back to the cadets. Did they say anything? Porco asked him. Megatron sighed in response before switching to his other vernacular. They said yes. Really? Porco was surprised and excited by the idea. I talked to them and listed out my reasoning, Megatron explained. Perhaps not being an Eldian might have changed their minds. Thank you so much, Matthew. Porco smiled as he saluted him. I won't let you down. Megatron watched Porco walk away before sighing to himself. This situation was quite ridiculous in hindsight. Megatron then noticed something out of the corner of this eye. He turned to see Rainer Braun walking up to him before saluting him. Sir, I never got the chance to formally introduce myself, Rainer began. I'm Ash. Rainer Braun. I know you are. Megatron cut him off. What do you want? I just came to warn you, Rainer admitted. Warn me? Megatron questioned. About being nice to the Eldians, Rainer elaborated. You shouldn't do that. Megatron raised an eyebrow in response. So you want me to treat them like shit? No. But you don't want me to be nice? Megatron asked. That's not what I meant, Dash. Then explain instead of dodging the question like a dumbass, Megatron ordered. You'll get in trouble, Rainer proclaimed. If you're nice to Eldians, they'll think you're an Eldian. If not, they call you a sympathizer and spit on you and treat you just as badly as us. You'll get yourself killed. And you're telling me this, why? Megatron questioned. You seem like a nice guy, Rainer admitted. I'd hate to see you get hurt because we're demons. Megatron blinked before shrugging in response. Let them. Ha, Rainer exclaimed. Let them do whatever, Megatron clarified. I don't care. But why? Rainer asked. Morality. Human decency. Megatron answered as if it were obvious. If you want a different one, I've already been to hell and back. No amount of humiliation from a bunch of jackasses is going to change that or make me fear for my life. But you can't, Rainer whispered quietly. Look, don't worry about me, Megatron stated. Worry about yourself. You're not obligated to do anything to me. I appreciate the advice, but I can handle a few people. Reiner watched Matthew walk away from him and couldn't process the information. How could he not care? How could he not have a fear for his life? Meanwhile, Megatron entered the building, questioning the Titan Shifter's actions. Part of Megatron thought he might be heartless or have an intense loyalty to Marley. This was different from what he anticipated. Perhaps gaining his trust would be more adequate in order to find out his weaknesses. He might be more vulnerable than anticipated.
I'm glad you enjoyed that video/gameplay. Just remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. Until next time, goodbye!